Well, I think I can say really the worst is over now. It was touch and go for a little bit out there, but by yesterday, at least everybody was accounted for in the park, which was our first priority. And as well, of course, we had done our preliminary assessment and found that most of our tourism infrastructure was untouched by the flood, which was wonderful.
Everybody is accounted for. No casualties.
No casualties. No people that were injured. There was a bit of a scare about 2 days ago that some of the tourists that were caught out overnight might have been hurt. But on observation, we found that actually they were fine as well.
Okay. Infrastructure, extent of damage?
Well, in terms of the roads and the bridges, we have seen quite extensive damage. Some people have even been quoted saying that this is worse than 2000. But in terms of the tourism infrastructure, we haven't seen the same level as 2000, which is good. Because in 2000, we had to close the park for 10 months in order to rework on that infrastructure. But it doesn't look like we'll need to do that.
To close the park at all?
At all. We will not need to close the park.
Gravel roads, are they back open now?
Some of the gravel roads are back on because they are dry, but some of them we're still cautioning people to be careful because we don't want anybody being stuck in the mud out there without cell phone reception. So we would actually caution people to wait a few more days before they start using the gravel roads.
What about the animals? How are the animals?
Well, that's the question we've been asked a lot, and we've been laughing at this because I think as humans, we tend to look at animals in the same way as humans. Animals have got very good instincts, which have been beaten out of us. You find that days before you even get a disaster like this, they start walking away and going to higher ground. And they did the same thing here. We haven't even seen carcasses floating down the river, which means most, especially the big animals, have been able to get away from this.
This is not open season for poachers. The rhino are okay as well?
Oh, definitely not. If they think that we are busy looking at our houses that might have been flooded, we are not doing that. We are out there in the field and checking to see what is happening out there. And also what some of my colleagues have been saying is that actually with these rains, this is a godsend for us because we are able to pick up the spoor much easier. Because with the mud, people will not be able to rub off their footsteps.
What we want to do is just to talk weather now. And Paul Monare is here. He's going to talk to us just about the formation of these unusual weather patterns and what the implications are, what can we expect. So let's bring Tsietsi into this conversation. Tsietsi, let's just talk a little bit about the formation of this really extreme weather condition that has affected Mpumalanga and Limpopo. What actually happened and what's the situation now?
Well, we need to understand that this is the time for these kind of depressions. The Weather Service, South African Weather Service, actually called this one a subtropical depression, which is sort of a low pressure depression. And they normally come from, things such as tropical cyclones. I don't know if you've heard of the term, but those cyclones, we usually find them in warm waters and, those unstable air conditions where they travel over sea and they usually happen over the ocean. And they don't really, once they hit planet or rather, ground area or solid ground, that's when they dissipate and they lose all their ground and their movement. And they can move at very high speeds, especially over the Indian Ocean and towards Madagascar as well as into Mozambique. We have that little channel between Madagascar and Mozambique.
Can we expect any such pattern to come up in the next month, 2 months? What are you seeing?
They're not that simple to predict. People try. We do know sometimes when the conditions are ripe for these kind of cyclones or these weather patterns. But we can't really say we're going to expect another. We're expecting another one in a week or a month or even a year's time. So they're very, very unpredictable and they happen over short periods of time.
Just you presumably as SANParks work with the Weather Service so that you can predict where things are going. What information are you getting now? Is everything okay for the next month, for the next 2 months?
Well, for the 2 days that there was heavy rain, we did actually get a warning from Weather Service.
How far in advance did you get it?
Well, we got it in enough time, I think a day ahead. I think people expected Weather Services to say there will be floods, which I think is a bit unfair. Maybe they could have said that, but then they predicted that there will be heavy rain. And I think in a flat area like the low flat, then one should be expecting that there might be floods in some low level areas. So there will be heavy
rain with a possibility of floods.
And they have indicated to us as well that in next week, around Thursday, Friday, we might be getting another, heavy rain weather pattern in the area. So we should be prepared for that, because there might be further flooding in that particular area.
All right, Wanda, let's leave it at that. Thank you very much. Wanda Mkutshulwa is with Sandparks, the head of communications there. Tsietsi Monare is weather reporter here on Morning Live on SA.